Top button and a 5-panel? This must be a very serious episode. Welcome back to the Skill Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's episode 70 of What's on the Bench Weekly. And if you're not familiar with this show, it's where I take you through projects that I'm working on. Things that are on the bench, things that have not been on the bench for some time, projects that I've even forgotten I was supposed to be doing. In this episode, let's just get right into it. The first thing is the Drift MOOSEile, as it's been referred to now by a few people. It's Volvo, and it's starting to look a bit like a thing. I'm not even sure where this was at in the last episode, but it certainly didn't have a full chassis underneath it. I built this chassis. This is the Rev D RDX. I built this on Friday night live, which was very fun and rewarding. It's an excellent chassis. You know what? Take the body off for a second here. It is an excellent chassis. Very easy to assemble. The instructions are fantastic, and everything just kind of works. It's got fixed plastic links, so you cannot screw the setup up. And it results in a really easy to drift car. I have this now paired to, this is actually kind of interesting. This is the Radiomaster MT12, which is a very cool radio. It is driven by something called Edge TX and ELRS protocol. I think it's like extended long range radio system or something. And it makes for a very interesting setup process. This is way beyond any radio that I've ever used before. And the whole Edge TX open source software that runs this radio comes from the drone and the flight world. So it is primarily, that's where it started from. And it's now starting to trickle down into surface radios. But what makes this great is very low latency and extremely long distance capable transmitters and receivers. They'll work over kilometers, which it's like 1.6 kilometers to a mile. But it'll work over like 20 kilometers if you've got line of sight. If you can see it, it'll work. It's pretty amazing technology. And it's an excellent radio, very solid, feels great in the hand. You can operate it one-handed. This model is the ELRS version. So it will work with very cheap receivers. You can get them for as low as like $10. You can even get kits to make your own. And there are so many functions. I believe it's up to like, I think you can do 32 channels somehow. I don't know how that would possibly work, or what you would need that many for, but all kinds of switches and buttons. And the thing that makes it very cool is it's open source software. So that means that over time, the community is going to keep making it better. So it doesn't just stop once you buy it. It's consistently over time going to become an even better radio with more and more features. I found it very easy to set up, actually. I'm still learning a lot about it. The manual is quite deep, but it is great. I'm really, really excited about this. And I think that this is the sort of thing that others will get interested in, and it will spark a revolution in terms of how we're transmitting signals to our cars, trucks, boats, planes, whatever. There is a lot of flexibility here, and it's very, very cool. If you're interested in one, I will put a link down below. Yeah, but I would definitely highly recommend it. It's great for the drift car because one of the things that I've set up here, I'm using a Reefs 299 LP, which is a low profile, fast, high torque servo, and also high voltage. Works really, really well. But I've paired that with Reefs Drift Gyro. And this thing is really, really good. It's very touchy on the actual physical setup though. So what I've done is I've paired the actual gyro exponential or gyro ability to a pot on this radio here. So I can adjust this on the fly if I'm finding the gyros overreacting or underreacting to my inputs. So it's very simple to make those adjustments. And yeah, I think this whole system, it just feels so professional. I don't really know how else to put it. But yeah, there's a lot more info on this radio, way beyond what I'm even capable of explaining to you. So I'll put links down below. You can learn all about Edge TX. You'll learn all about the radio itself and what ELRS is as well. So my thanks to Radio Master for sending this my way. It's a very premium radio, but not a premium price. Lots of options. Going to be very cool for the future. Okay, now back to the car for a moment. Very easy to set up. I set it up with the Yokomo Drift brushless setup, 13.5 turn spec motor, and the BLRS4 Drift ESC. Now, I do not have the programming card, and to get into the depths of how this can be programmed and set up, I definitely need to get that. So I will be getting that ASAP. I've already put an order in. Hopefully it gets here soon. But more importantly, great setup, great drift car. Just such a pleasure to have built, very easy. And if you're looking to get a little more custom, do a few more things, not just an RTR drift car, I can highly recommend the RDX. So I'll be sure to put a link down below. I did test it a whole bunch last Saturday, so I am very confident in the car itself. I think it's going to be really great once we get everything else done with it. Now, one of the things you may have seen on the Instagram stories, or the reels, I mean, I have this setup here from Crawlers and Customs. This is a Formula Drift D-cell kit, and basically these lights are tied into your throttle and brake. And when you're at neutral, they just shine blue. When you are accelerating, they sequentially go up in green, and then when you brake, same thing in red, but the opposite direction. And this is really more for in the real scale of actual Formula Drift. This is how judges can judge when you are throttle and when you are brake, and where you're making adjustments to your driving in order to get to where you need to on the course. It's a very cool system, and I wanted to have something that added a bit of realism to the car, and I thought this was a great way to do it. It looks amazing, not super expensive, and very easy to set up. The only downside I can see, well, actually, it's not really a downside, but it does take up a fair bit of space. Like the controller is a fairly big controller. I'm not sure it needs to be this big, but you know, it's fine. There's plenty of space on this chassis for stuff like that, so it does get hidden quite well. I would say though, if space is at a premium, that could be a problem. It also comes with a brake light too, which is really cool, and I've been demoing it this whole time. That's still a work in progress, obviously, but the chassis itself's really come together. I love the bronze wheels that I've found, and I put some Michelin stickers on the tires to make them kind of pop a little bit. I did end up going for the dual pipes on the 2JZ. I just thought that looked so much better. And I've now added the exterior fender flares. I am getting a little tiny bit of rub on steering, so we're gonna have to trim those back ever so slightly. But I really do think that it's starting to look like a proper Drift Missile Volvo. And I cannot wait to put the Red Moose Gives You Dings bumper sticker on it. That's just gonna be great. 2JZ looks good in there. Lots more detail work to go on that portion of it. We've got to add some more intercoolers and oil coolers and whatnot up front. I did consider doing the removed fender on one side, but I was really concerned about the body integrity. So I think what I might end up doing is I might just end up painting out this fender to be a different color. Not black though, because I think that would look weird. Maybe we'll go yellow. Yellow and red always look good together. Anyway, that's the Drift project for now. Can't wait to get this out on the drift track in a finished state. And it shouldn't be too much longer, probably before Christmas. So yeah, on to the next project. Next this week from Ampro Engineering. Ampro is responsible for the original Shippy? Yes. I couldn't remember what that thing was called. The Sand Scorcher conversion to make it a much more scale accurate Sand Scorcher. Amazing kit, highly recommended, super fun to do that conversion. Alberto is also responsible for a lot of 3D printed parts for other trucks and vehicles, mostly in the Tamiya line of weird stuff that he likes. But he did these really great recreation of the original style Toyota wheel. These these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These 8-spoke style wheels are a classic. And if you don't like them, there's something wrong with you. Anyway, a really great replacement for the existing ones on this FCX18. Is that what they call this one? Yes. couldn't remember for a second there. But they look so much more accurate and so much more scaled to this vehicle. It's a Land Cruiser, obviously, so it should have a proper Toyota wheel. And these look amazing on here. It's 3D resin printed. I primed and painted these with just Vallejo acrylics, but they turned out absolutely spot on. They screw into the existing back portion of the beadlock wheel, so you don't have to find any other parts. You can just use what you've already got, presuming you've already got one of these, and they're a perfect fit. And they look amazing, as you can see. It really does change the whole look. I painted up 4 of them, and I forgot that there was a spare tire in the back, so I had to go back and paint another one. But happy I did. This looks great. Makes it a lot more realistic, and just gives you more scale accuracy. How can you not like that? I'll be sure to put a link down below if you're interested in picking up a set of these. Just like all the things you see here, there will be links down below. And of course, if you like this video, hit the like button. Do the other things as well. All right, on to the next thing. Last but not least, I thought it was probably time to remember a project I had forgotten about, only because the parts I ordered finally arrived. I don't know where they were coming from. Probably here, but then they shipped them all the way around the world again, very slowly. But the leaf spring kit for the FMS Land Cruiser 40 series has finally arrived. So now I can convert this to leaf springs and ruin it properly. There's a lot of parts in here and no instructions. So that'll be fun. I'm sure I can figure it out. It won't be that big of a deal. Or I'll just ask somebody who's done it before. But yeah, excited to get this going because I think this truck deserves to be on leaves. I know I talked about the CJ possibly getting leaves as well, but if I'm honest, that's a recreation of an existing real Jeep CJ with a link conversion kit. So that can stay linked. Plus it's on an FCX10 Not easy to convert that to leaves. I asked some of the experts. And they agreed it would not be easy. So not something I'll probably be doing to the Jeep, but certainly to this giant Land Cruiser 40 series that barely fits in the frame, it will get leaves. And we'll get right on that. And then I'll ruin it further with some comedy. But that's for another episode. All right. Installing this isn't going to be quick, so I'll film it and we'll show it next week. That'll be easier for everybody, I think. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for continuing to participate. And if you didn't see, we just cracked 88,888 subscribers. And I cannot thank you enough for being a part of this awesome community, sharing tips and tricks, weathering, doing scale stuff, and having a real general blast. So thank you so much for being a part of that. And we will see you again next week.